I actually had somebody contact me today and they asked me, is now a good time to get started creating YouTube channels and content? And I said, absolutely, of course. I actually ended up having a long chat and discussion with my nephew, who is 15 years old. And he was telling me about the channels that he watches, but even more than that, more importantly, the success he's having with his own channel, the growth of his channel, and the confidence that he has that it will continue to grow and ultimately become a business and produce revenue for him, expanding from there. But more importantly, what I want to share with you guys is how no matter who you are, no matter your skill level, no matter your personality type, albeit this coming from someone who defined themselves as somewhat of an introvert, there really couldn't be a better time than now to get started. I'm going to pick that back up in just a moment, but I wanted to bring you guys some recent news that has been brought to my attention. As we can see here, that FreightWaves announces how Union Pacific is furloughing workers due to lower volumes and plans to store locomotives that have led to furloughs of craft mechanical employees. And amid a drop in rail traffic, Union Pacific has furloughed at least 94 employees, including 43 machinists in 11 locations. And this is kind of par for the course, to be expected. Now, granted, we had talks last year about potential railroad strikes that were eventually avoided through some intervention from the White House. And we've always in the back of our minds had, at least I have, some anticipation of a slowdown, whether it be from the force and the push and the changes that are introduced by the Fed with adjustments of interest rates trying to slow the economy and slow inflation, or it's just the natural occurrence of a looming recession and changes in consumer spending habits or ability, ultimately driving down demand and also slowing shipping. And a lot of that, I think, 33% of our freight is transported by rail. Granted, there have been some other news events that, some of these railroad companies, BNSF, Norfolk Southern, Union Pacific, all these freight railroad companies have, had their name in bright lights here recently for various reasons. But I think this is kind of just, it's a little bit of a normal occurrence. Furloughs is not a new term. And job security is always going to be questionable, and ways of producing income and having savings and a safety net, a backup plan, diverse income streams, multiple income streams. These are all going to be very, very important, no matter what field, no matter what industry, no matter what position you hold, because essentially you can see things like this very thing happening with Union Pacific, but this could happen to any field, any industry, any company at any given point in time. Now, with that being said, we do need to bring a little update or our attention to what's going on with the banks. Again, nothing really new here. This is par for the course. This is relatively the direction, the path that we are going down. We've had talks and chats and discussions about banks here a lot, especially with the changes in brick and mortar bank locations and moving online and fintech solutions and financial service apps like Chime and Green Dot. But two major U.S. banks are set to close this fall after sending customers letters as threat of layoffs looms. And these layoffs, again, are going to be happening across the board. I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about, because, getting a job is, the same as losing a job. Basically, this is going to happen. This is going to be a continuous cycle in business, in our economy, and you got to be ready for all of it. You got to be ready to go get that new job. So make sure that your skills are up. Make sure your education is up. Make sure you're continuing education. Make sure your resume is on point. Make sure your LinkedIn is updated. Make sure you're staying in contact and networking. Make sure you're doing all the right things to make sure that you can get the job you want to get. And if by chance, somehow, some way, for some reason, possibly due to no fault of your own, you were to experience a layoff, then you're ready to hit the ground running again and hopefully see very little to no impact of that job loss as you move on to the next job. But it says that two major U.S. banks have announced closures of branches in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and the losses follow a number of bank closures across the nation as CEOs warn that walk-in branches have become inordinate. And Wells Fargo is set to close over 100 locations across the country, and customers in Sheboygan received letters warning them of the upcoming closures. Letters were sent out to customers warning of the upcoming closures of a U.S. bank drive-through and Wells Fargo Bank in Wisconsin City, located about 55 miles north of Milwaukee. The U.S. Bank location will close on October 11, while the Wells Fargo branch will shutter on November 1. U.S. Bank District Leader Matthew Gloshin said in a letter to customers banking preferences and behaviors are changing, influencing how and where we operate. As a result, we are consolidating some of our physical locations. Nothing new there, folks. According to the branch location page, the U.S. Bank sites on South 12th and North 8th Street will remain open. Meanwhile, 24 other U.S. Bank locations are set to close across the country. According to weekly U.S. Office of Comptroller of the Currency Bulletins posted since July, and the Wells Fargo closure following changes to foot traffic, customer usage patterns, and market coverage, according to a spokesperson. And yeah, so look, again, this is nothing new. The banks are closing. Branches continue to play an important role in the way we are serving our customers, and we continuously evaluate our branch network in light of changing customer needs, the increase in the use of digital banking and market factors. Yes, digital banking and market factors. The downtown location is one of around 120 Wells Fargo sites set to close across the country. And this is just the beginning. There will be more. There will be more. They're going to be using more of these online digital opportunities, these platforms, and going a much more automated route and a less personal route and a more digital route, which brings me brings to mind the community post that I put up today asking how many or how often you use ChatGPT, because we talked about this yesterday just briefly about ChatGPT and the ways in which you can use ChatGPT to make money and also invest to make money by using ChatGPT. And technology is the innovations and the opportunities that exist with ChatGPT and technology and AI. We are literally getting to the point of which we can do so much with just one prompt. And this is allowing me, myself, my friends, my family, folks in my network, in my sphere, my circle, my group, my community, colleagues, other businesses that I engage with. We are becoming so much more efficient and more effective. And also, this ties in heavily to YouTube. So when somebody asked me today, is it still a good time to get started creating YouTube content? Absolutely, quite possibly the best, especially from someone who describes themselves as an introvert, because of AI, because of faceless channels, because of avatars and semi-realistic alter egos, not to mention seclusion, working from home, working remote jobs, potential possibility of future lockdowns depending on who you follow in the news and who you listen to and who you believe and trust, but also trends like van life, where literally folks are out here spending time in solace, but also not necessarily wanting to engage and put themselves out there for the world to see. But now, like I said, with just one simple prompt, you can be so efficient and so effective and so creative, yet commanding a considerable income revenue on the side or primarily without even having to show your face. You can tell your story. You can type. You can speech to text. You can use a voiceover. You can use automated transcripts. There are so many ways to get onto the platform and deliver the content, deliver the message, deliver the story super fast, super easy, without even having a ton of skills in editing and production and post-production and all that. Not even showing your face, using your voice, or even having any remote connection or tie to yourself, so that you can remain somewhat, to yourself. not necessarily putting yourself out there for the world to see, keeping your anxiety level low, your comfort level high, and executing on an unbelievably great opportunity that exists that creators are using, including myself, to take advantage of ChatGPT, AI, faceless channels, avatars, semi-realistic alter egos, and I'm trying to remember the actual terminology they use for the animations that they produce. But also, you guys have seen we've created content all year, all summer, from wherever we are, whenever we want to, online with a strong internet connection or not, struggling through some 4G LTE uploads, but we get it done. You could even get this done out in the middle of nowhere, living off grid, uploading through Starlink. And if you want to stay super secluded, make sure you got a VPN so they can't track your actual location. But it's just the opportunities are out there. They present themselves. This is a great time. There's no better time. Honestly, there has been no better time than now because of the amount of resources that are available and the way that you can connect with people and produce income at a time where I would think that people need it the most, especially if you think that you may lose your job or you've already lost your job. But even if you haven't, what a great way to begin to build a backup, additional income stream that could potentially cover you or supplement the time in which you have to spend to find the next job. Or this becomes your new job. The possibilities, the sky is the limit. That's all I got. Go forth and conquer.